Good afternoon and welcome to Word Gets Around Business Show. I'm Paul from Word Gets Around. Delighted that you can join us, or if you're watching online, you can watch this back. What a strange year it's been already. The kids are going back to school finally. We're trying to hopefully find our routine to how things were before and adjusting back into the working day. So today we're delighted to welcome Joanne Dewberry, who's a blogger and author, and really excited to welcome her onto the show today to chat about networking, all things networking. So if you're watching online, please feel free to ask a question. So what I'm really excited about as well is Jo is joining us. Jo, a co-host at the Word Gets Around Networking. Let's bring Jo in, see if she's there. There she is. Jo, yes, you are. How are you doing?
Here I am.
How are you doing?
Surprise.
It's
I'm
been
good.
yeah, it's been a while since we were co-hosting an event together, isn't it? So
Oh, it has been a while. It feels like another lifetime, really, doesn't it?
yeah, I think it was back in February last time we were networking with a
But,
room full of people.
oh.
Um,
And if only we'd known, we could have made sure to touch everybody loads just to get our fill.
we could have done that. Yeah. So we look forward to. So I'm a bit worried now. Next time we host an event, that you're going to have to, be jumping all over people. But you've been busy, obviously, during this time, I'm sure.
Yeah, been keeping busy. Not least with my new grandson, baby Joey, because I'm big Joey, obviously, which my family find very confusing. I didn't really think about how confusing it would be because I never call myself Joey, but my mum and my sister, find it very difficult. So I'm Big Joey, that's baby Joey.
Big Joey and
So
baby.
yeah, been keeping busy with him
Good stuff.
and work as well, picking up now again after a little bit of a pause. So yeah, it's all going good.
Yeah, I guess with what kind of we do in sort of or promoting marketing businesses, helping them is taking a bit of a back seat for a little bit, didn't it? It's all people there.
Yeah, I think people just sort of panicked for a little bit and were like, whoa, let's stop everything just in case. But now sort of realizing that actually a lot of businesses need kind of marketing and promotions more than ever. So yeah, I've got lots lined up for the next month or two. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Good to hear. Well, hopefully we can host one of our events soon. So it's coming up next month. Will be 9 years that the Word Gets Around Networking has been going.
Wow.
Pretty crazy. So I was trying to. Was it 4 or 5 years that you've been co-hosting?
It must be 4 or 5 years now. I've lived back in Taunton for maybe 6 years now, and it wasn't long after I came back that you roped me into it. So
Yeah, and we're gonna miss out on cake this time unless we
oh yeah.
somewhere around the cake. So today we're gonna chat with Jo, Joanna will bring in a minute. So we can chat all about network and how it's helped our businesses, where we think it's going, kind of things that we can learn from it. So yeah, looking forward to that today. So should we just get Joanne in and have a chat?
Yeah, go on. Let's get the expert in.
There she is. So there you go. Hi Joanne, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very, very good. Yeah, it's nice to have three of us on here chatting away. Finally got the technology sorted, which is good. I had a few issues, but I guess this time during lockdown for lots of people has been a lot of embracing new ways of doing things. So, looking at your book. So thank you. Really enjoyed your book here. So network and a small business. And you're based in Dorset, aren't you? And run a networking group there. I was just interested in how that kind of got started and how things have been for you during this time.
Well, the networking group I run currently, Lima Link Up, that one started about, I think it was about 2014, so not as old as you guys, but getting there. And that just really started because I had originally run a networking group called Networking Mummies, but once I had my daughter, I sold the franchise on to another business owner and just kind of had a little bit of time out, and then realised actually I really miss networking with everybody. So I run it with a lady who owns the soft play centre. So we run it in a soft play centre. So you can bring your children and they can just play in the centre while we're networking. But because we've been running for so long now, originally everyone had little kids, so I had my little one, and now everyone's got big kids, but everyone just still turns up every month and sits in a soft play centre with no children.
Do you go on the soft play equipment though? That's the question.
Oh, no, we're not really allowed. I think I'm a bit too big. There's like an under 11s area, and that always looks really good fun.
Yeah, I got stuck in some of those rollers once in a soft play centre. You know, you just kind of like when you're following your child about because they weren't going on their own, and then before you know it, you're in like a soft roller sandwich. Yeah.
So I guess similar to you then. So the reason that we, looking back at like say 9 years into our networking group, the reason that we set it up was mornings at the time. Lots of the morning networking groups weren't there. Some of the bigger companies that have been doing it a while, and I went to lots of those. I'm not a very good morning person. I used to share an office with Joe, so I didn't wake up till about 11, did I, Joe? Normally, coffee kicked in. But yeah, the reason that we set up is that I met a friend, Kate, who ran a local magazine in Taunton, and she had things like the school run. Sometimes it's it was a problem to get to these events regularly to be able to get to know people. So ours come about as an evening thing to kind of fit around that. And I guess yours, with people now, I guess more than ever, as people are looking to set their own businesses up, aren't they, and have the flexibility to chat to people and get to know them.
Yeah, definitely. And like we meet at 10, so I mean the play centre opens from 9:30, so you can come in earlier, but we open at 10 for our group. So you've got like that whole hour to kind of get there to get from school run and stuff. Whereas like you say, breakfast meetings are at 7:30, and when you've got 3 children who need to get to school and be fed, there's no way you can do it at all. So that was one of the reasons that makes it really accessible, and we do it on a Monday morning as well. So I think it's that whole like Monday morning straight from the school run, you get to hang out with your friends, and it kind of sets you up for the rest of the week.
It's
a nice way to start, isn't it? I always found with the breakfast ones as well, like I really don't want to eat a bacon sandwich at 6:30 a.m. Whereas like ours in the evening, that buffet is the highlight for me, as you know. It's just so much more relaxed, isn't it? And it's much better. Yeah,
and I guess lots of networking groups, all the kind of similar formats, aren't they? In terms of you introduce yourself, or some of them you have a guest speaker, etc. And I guess it's evolved. I mean, ours has evolved over time, and we've often sort of thought about replicating it. And I guess the difficult thing to replicate is the kind of atmosphere that that it kind of grows over time, doesn't it? Evolves to the people that go to these events. I just wondered, kind of, with your group, Joanne, is like, how has it evolved over time? Is that, say, now there's people that still go that their kids have all grown up?
Yeah.
Seen it change?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's changed much, but I think, originally it started to provide that thing for mums in business. They didn't have the extra childcare. You were still trying to run your business. You still wanted to meet people. And a lot of the time it's not necessarily that you want to do business with somebody. It's just that you want to have a chat with somebody who knows what you're going through, because your life is very different to somebody else who drops their kids off at school and then goes to work and get paid. We're pitching for work or developing products, developing ideas and things like that. You just want to be able to have a conversation with somebody else who gets that's what you've got to do, and you're running your business around your children as well, so you're always stuck in school runs and all this kind of thing. And other people wouldn't understand sitting in the car waiting for your children to finish school whilst trying to do like a Zoom video conference call with some other people. Some people would just not get that, whereas it's nice to have that group of people that understand what your kind of daily life and daily routine is. And it's more like a friendship thing than a selling my business and getting work from other people. It's more of that whole friendship aspect of just being around other people who understand and get you.
Yeah, and I think because we used to one of the big things we do at the start is for lots of people some people come to every meeting, some every other, and some want to when they can. And the thing that we actually didn't really. We talk about the benefits of networking at the start, and one of the things we intentionally left out was about kind of getting the business, because essentially that happens naturally through gaining confidence, making friends, learning new things. And I guess this time, as you touched on them, with the people that haven't had that school run before, that or the having to fit around the kids, like I've not generally had that for a little while, but suddenly when you're home with kids in lockdown, I've had to juggle Skype calls and Zoom calls with going to meet, going to do different things. So I guess it's given people a flavour of what that can be like, and the needs of businesses, which I guess is changed, hasn't it, and how it's going to change in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I think I talked to you before, and it's obviously in my book, but just randomly, 2 years ago, one of my friends at networking, she was like, I really enjoy doing archery. And I was like, oh, there's a local place that does archery. We should just go. So then we just went and played archery, and then just became a thing. So every month, well, obviously before lockdown, but every month we've gone out and we've done something. We've gone abseiling, we've done pottery making, loads of different things. But because you're all small business owners, you just naturally start talking about small business. So there's no, you go to have fun, and the fun element is there, but you organically just start having a conversation about your small business. And somebody will be like, oh, how did you get on here, and what about this? And a couple of years ago, I was sat on the beach with some of my networking friends, and we just let the kids have a play day on the beach in the summer holidays. And we just were talking, and I was like, oh yeah, when I sort this part of my book out, I really need somebody to help me format it. I have no idea how to format it. And then the lady next to me was like, but that's what I do. I format books. And then, if I'd have gone out looking for that, it wouldn't have kind of naturally and organically happened. Which is what I like about networking. I don't feel like I'm constantly having to sell myself or sell a product or, leave with 1,000 business cards. I just want to go and speak to people like me who just want to have a chat with somebody who's not their small child.
Yeah.
Do you go to any other networking events, or do you just kind of do this sort of one that you host? And because I often wonder, there's that value, obviously, like we're talking about, in sort of building up those relationships. But I guess you want to get a sort of balance between having those longer term established relationships, but also meeting new and different people who might be able to kind of feed in different ways. So kind of, if you were starting out networking or giving somebody advice, would you be saying commit to one group or try a few different ones?
To be honest, networking is not a one size fits all, and every single group will do something different. And so I think in the beginning, you really need to just find out all the local groups you can find and go along. A lot of them will offer, we're a non-profit group, so we don't actually charge. So there's quite a few that are free groups that you can go to. The ones that charge a fee, normally they'll have a guest. You can come as a guest once or twice, to see how you feel. And I think you have to try things out, and then you'll know if this group suits you or not, because some groups as well have rules where you can only have one person from this industry, and so you might find that you go, and actually the way that they've done that means that you don't actually suit any of the people that they've got there, because the person who you might suit in accounts has gone to a different networking group because they can't go to that networking group because there's already an accountant there. And I just think you have to just try lots of them out, because you don't know until you get there whether you're going to like it or not. And also, I've been to a networking group and thought I really didn't enjoy this, and then one of my other friends who I network with all the time is like, oh my god, it's the best group ever. It's all personal preference.
Yeah that's true. And I guess you already know once you've given it a go, don't you? And I think maybe you need to go a few times to really,
definitely.
Because that first time you go can be so nerve-wracking, can't it? I remember the first sort of times that I had to stand up and introduce myself and do that sort of 30-second bit about, feel your heart pounding and you can't catch your breath. And I don't know if you have any tips for people how to overcome those nerves, that moment when you first step in to the room and you have to go and speak to somebody that you've never met before. What's the way in?
Yeah, so I do recommend that you have a kind of a pitch, but it's not a sales pitch. You're not trying to sell anybody anything. You just need to have your 30 seconds, even just 2 sentences about yourself that you can just literally say to somebody without getting flustered, without umming and ahhing, without using the wrong terminology as well, because, you know, words have a lot of meaning. And if you start saying like, oh, I just do this, you're kind of saying, oh, my business isn't really very important, but actually it's just because you're getting flustered. So I always suggest that you like have an actual pitch, you know, a couple of sentences that says what your business is, what your business does, and you know, the benefits to other people at the networking group, and then your kind of like call to action at the end, that you practice so that you can just say it without even thinking about it. And if you can say it without thinking about it, that makes you more confident when you're talking to new people as well. But whereas if you fluster around a bit, you can basically give off an like that opinion that you don't actually know what you do either.
And I think that's so true. So many of us find it difficult to like blow our own trumpets, don't we? Like I know I do that quite a lot. Of people ask me what I do for a living, and I'll be like, oh well, I'm just a blogger. It's not a real job. I just, cause like people pay me to do stuff online. It's not like a thing. You're right. That's not the impression you want to give to people at networking at all, is it? You want them to see the value in you, and you have to see the value in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I would always say as well, like, avoid pompous language, because then you come across as being like a little bit anal, and then people don't get what you're talking about. So, you know, if somebody doesn't actually understand like what a blogger is, they might just think you're like a bit of a weirdo sort of thing. So I think it's really important to like be able to eloquently, I see I'm not even really doing a very good job of that myself right now, but like being able to eloquently say what you do in a way that everybody, no matter what they do, can understand.
Yeah, I think some really good points then. I just looking back at a part of it about the nerves and stuff like that. And I guess if you're in, I mean, I was terrified when I first went along, and to think to look back and say being running a group for 9 years is pretty crazy from where I've gone. But I guess part of the as hosts, which we are, part of the job of the host is to put people at ease, isn't it, and to welcome them and to, because we have a lot of people that have never been networking that come to us and they're terrified.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the preconception of networking of everybody super polished in suits, shaking hands and having everything, you know, everything all sorted and polished, and then instantly they come in and it's about putting people in touch with each other, isn't it, and at ease. And part of the reason that we have a thing called the wild card, isn't it, is that we kind of just make up people that we think would be quite good to have a chat, because you don't know where it's going to go. And also the other thing you said about it's made me laugh, because you mentioned about the sort of category lockouts, Joanne, with the you know, that, because one of our first events, when we were kind of first event, we're trying to find our feet with our networking group and how it's going to be different to the others. And we actually had somebody complain to me that there was somebody else there from the big business sector. And I was like, well, what's wrong with that? Like, you don't do that. You don't do that at networking. You can't have somebody else from a similar business. And so, well, we do. And it's kind of really awkward, because, you know, you kind of, the ultimate thing is we all, you know, you buy from people and the relationship as opposed to the product or the service. That's ultimately what it's about. And I was talking to somebody recently about, if I decided to stop what I'm doing and started selling teddy bears or sweets, whatever, it would still be my relationship with the people that know me and what I stand for and who I am and the integrity and the relationship they've got with me that would transfer to the different products. So I'm not fussed if there's 15 graphic designers in the same room, because one, you can talk shop, and two, I don't do all those things. And also people find the like-minded people, the people they get on with, don't they?
I think it's really important to network with people in the same genre as you. And I know that, like, it does go, some of the big networking corporation big groups, they don't want you to do that. But I think it's really important, because say, for example, you're a virtual assistant. Yeah. Virtual assistants do like a multitude of things. Now, you can't be the best virtual assistant in Facebook, in Pinterest, in admin, in newsletters, you can't, a website design, you can't be the best one in everything. So you need to have other people that you can go to and say, look, I've got this client and they want me to do this, this and this, but they also want me to do this and I can't. So do you want to come on board and take on the client with me? Because you can do that. Yeah. And, you know, it's all about collaborating together rather than being a competition, because there shouldn't be any competition. We should just all be working together for the same outcome at the end of the day. And I think, you know, even photographers, it's all right saying you can only have one photographer there, but some people are portrait photographers, some are product photographers, some are wedding photographers, and they can't possibly take a good picture of every single scenario, because otherwise you wouldn't just have somebody who just took pictures of weddings. So I think it's ridiculous to sort of think that you can't network with people in the same genre as you. And lockdown and the whole coronavirus thing is a perfect example, because the government is handing out all this woolly information. So, you know, yesterday I went out for a walk with my friend, Lexi, and she runs a party business. So she used to go to people's houses and do craft parties, which obviously she can't do now. But, you know, she said the information she had, she like went to her insurance company and her insurance company were like, yeah, that's fine. And she's like, but actually, it's not fine, because I can't go into people's houses, because then there's going to be multiple people from different families and all this stuff. But if she didn't have her network of other people doing parties to go and talk to, she'd just be there left on her own, floundering around, not understanding where to go. But because she's developed this massive unit of other party people that do other different kinds of parties, she can then go and find all the information, find out from the, you know, everybody else what they're doing and how they can work around this.
Yeah, and that's the good point. I said it's that's the thing, is to have that support network, isn't it, of people that can help you. I guess ultimately networking is about helping each other, isn't it, and having that support network, and whether it's contacts or knowledge.
I think coming back as well to what you're saying about how as hosts you can help people sort of with their nerves to feel relaxed. I think as well, like that's such a good way to like make an initial connection with someone. If you can be that person at the group who, when that new person comes along, you spot them and go and introduce yourself and make them feel at ease, they're immediately going to remember you and see you in a favourable light. And like, what a brilliant thing to be able to give to somebody. That is sort of the benefit of your experience, and them help them feel relaxed is a great foundation for that kind of relationship.
Yeah, like we do a half an hour sort of like everyone kind of turning up, because obviously some people get there earlier than others, but we did like a half an hour kind of like getting a coffee and getting ourselves kind of organised and just chatting to each other. So I think as a host, when you do see that new person, and for us a lot of the time they're clutching a child really tightly that's going blue, because it's like their comfort blanket, that they, you know, they feel safe because they're holding their child. You know, you can then have a chat with them quickly, find out a little bit about them, and then you straight away know that you can direct them to somebody else. Oh, Joe, have you met this person before? They do such and such, and you know that they're going to have something to talk about, so that straight away that person isn't just standing there thinking, oh my God, I don't want to talk to anybody. You kind of just ease them in without them even realising.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It just knowing the different groups and knowing the people that are there, and just finding your kind of comfort zone, and you know, the atmosphere is very important, isn't it? These groups. Well, I was going to mention there's a couple of questions I've got here. I've got one from James that sent one in. So I was going to chat about what the biggest mistakes are that people make when it comes to business networking. Just wonder what both your thoughts were on that you found in your experience.
I would say not listening, because obviously you know, even when you're first starting out and you go to lots of different networking groups, and you know, you're trying out lots of different networking groups, you're going to come across lots of the same people. And I think it's really horrible when you meet somebody and you spend that time getting to know them, and then you go to the networking group again and they're like, oh, hi, how are you? And then you realize that they haven't remembered you and they haven't really listened to anything you've said the previous time. So then you end up saying the same thing. So straight away your mind is like, I don't want to deal with you. And you know, and actually it could be a really beautiful relationship that you end up with, but you straight away, because they've not actively played a role in listening before, they may have had their own agenda, you know, handing out business cards or something, that they haven't taken on board what you've said, and then you end up having the same conversation again, and you just think, you're not for me. Yeah,
we get a few of those, don't we, Joe?
I think one thing that people, I I think something people often do is to dismiss people too quickly. You know, they find out what somebody does and they think, oh, well, that's irrelevant to me. I'm not interested in, you know, having an extension built. And you don't build on that, and you don't form a connection with somebody. Whereas actually, like, which is why we do the wild card, where we match people up, because to try and get home that idea of, you know, everybody having value. You might not see it immediately, but you know, that one person is going to know dozens and dozens of other people. You'd never know, like, who might be valuable to your business, or what, like, skills somebody might have that could be useful. So I think, yeah, that's definitely a mistake some people make, is just sort of writing people off without appreciating the value that they could have.
And I think as well, you sometimes, like you're saying, they don't appreciate the value that person has. It's because they go straight in and they're like, oh, you know, they do this business, I don't need that. But actually, it's not always the business that you need. It's the support, it's the advice. They might not have a business that you need, but they are an expert on using Canva, and they can show you how to use Canva, or, you know, they've just built their own website and they can help you do your own website and stuff like that. I think you're right. People don't value somebody as a whole thing. They just like think, oh, you're the card lady, you're the wax lady, you sell stuff on Etsy, and, you know, they don't think about the whole thing, because that person might be great at something else.
Yeah, we had. That was one of the big things that we wanted with our networking group. Was we used to use the analogy of a ballerina and a builder that get paired together, and they're kind of, in a sense, polar opposites. And then the builder kind of dismisses the ballerina, and then later on he finds out her husband owns like a big building firm and this sort of thing. So yeah, the idea was that everyone's got value, and we've had some great things happen over the years where we paired people up. That some people that have come along and go, oh, I don't think these are the right kind of people for me. What types of people you're looking for? Like people with, you know, 8 arms, or, you know, and because they can't see beyond the room. And obviously a lot about networking, say, isn't necessarily in the room, it's through the room, and it's a network about who knows who. And yeah, we had a lady once who messaged me, and she said, I do children's face paint. I quite like to meet some business people, but I don't really think it will be right for the people there. And I was like, absolutely, you should be there. Like, how many people have got kids that have faces? That, you know, we're not expecting as adults to leave the night painting as a giraffe or a tiger, but how many people in the room are on governors or on PTAs, or, you know, or work at schools? We should do that. We should have a tiger painted thing. And the fact that she thought that it was all about doing the business in the room, and it wasn't that at all. It was you know, it's very much about who you know and who they know, and etc. etc. So just wanted to mention that again, which you've already sort of gone into, but that's a frustration, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, there's always these people as well who go in with a really hard sell and think that networking is about just trying to get customers right there on the night, you know, and they're handing out pamphlets everywhere, and, you know, this is what I do, it's all about me, what can I sell you? Whereas actually networking isn't about that at all. It's like, you know, building up those relationships, thinking about how you can help people and how you can support other people, and the business comes as a byproduct of the rest
definitely.
of it.
I think the if you weigh it up, the long-term relationship that you have with someone will always outweigh that 20 quid quick sale that you had. It will always benefit your business far, far greater than that quick 20 quid.
No, I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I also compare it. It's like, you know, it's like advertising, isn't it? It's a long-term investment. Okay, in networking, it's in people, and it's all about trust, isn't it? Building trust and relationship. And we have, you know, if people advertise in our magazine that we have, and they say, "Oh, I'll just go in the once," well, like, there's no point going in once. It's like going networking once and then going out, like you said, chucking a load of cards around the room and going, "Nah, I got nothing from it." You've just turned up at the party and left. Like, it doesn't work like that. And I think that for me is a frustration.
But then, like you say about the building up the trust as well. So if you have built up a trust with like 20 people, and then you need like your drains unblocking, those 20 people can't unblock your drains, but they know somebody who does. and you trust them rather than just looking online. You're going to trust what somebody that you've built a relationship with has, who they recommend.
Absolutely. We've had a question come in from Susie.
Definitely. Question
from Susie Thomas. Hello, Susie. What do you think the future of networking is if groups continue to be restricted? Would smaller groups be just as good?
Yeah, I think smaller groups would be just as good. And I also think, you can't underestimate the power of, I know it's not the same as that physical contact with somebody. And I know that, the adrenaline doesn't pump as much as it does when you're in a room with lots of people and the energy isn't the same online. But, you still have the opportunities to network online and have conversations with people online. There's most networking groups now have private Facebook groups, so you can ask questions on there and have connections on there. And do you know what? There's no reason, just because there isn't a formal networking situation happening, there's no reason that you can't just like phone up a couple of your networking chums and be like, should we go for a socially distanced walk, or just have a chat on the phone? Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, I can't go networking because Joe hasn't organised anything for me. If you want to go and meet other people, go and meet other people.
That's a good point. And Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because it is you're right, it's a different energy. And that kind of the buzz that you get in a room full of people, and the kind of the chat and the energy is very different. And I do miss that, and miss it from sort of online options. But I guess we just have to, do what we have to do, don't we? And it's better to sort of keep in touch with people and have some kind of interaction, even if it might not quite the same. I mean, I guess it will just evolve that, over the next 6 or 12 months or however long it might be, that we can start kind of hopefully meeting up in the face-to-face groups, even if they are smaller groups to start with, or we shall see, won't we? Stuff changes so quickly.
I guess it's just like you say, it's just thrown. I guess maybe it'd be a mixture of the two, wouldn't it? Where it would be the online stuff that maybe that carries on more. So a lot of the time when it happens, you meet in person, you can then carry on the conversations online, can't you? And those kind of breakout groups. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of potential to add value to groups, isn't there, and to grow it in the relationship sort of side of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, so you like. Networking groups are struggling to obviously start back up again properly how they'd want to, because no one wants to really wear a mask. You can't really have a conversation with somebody if you're wearing a mask inside, and how are you supposed to listen to a speaker and all this kind of stuff. So it's just full of just quandaries at the moment. But I think that although that's the side of it for us organising networking events, there's also lots of small businesses out there that want to network, but they don't actually want to go and be around people yet anymore. So I think you do have to have a balance of online activity and maybe some face-to-face smaller networking situations. See, we just have ours it's because, like I said, we're a non-profit group, so we just advertise when we're meeting, and some days we meet once a month normally. One time we might have 6 people turn up, and one time we might have 66 people turn up. You just don't know, because we don't do it in a way like that we know exactly how many people are coming. So for us, we would have to change that so that we did know exactly how many people were coming, and you'd have to have a ticket so that you couldn't come in if you didn't have a ticket and things like that. But I think you need to be able to offer the online as well as the offline, because not everybody will want to go offline just yet. There's still people who aren't comfortable with being around other human beings right now.
No, and I guess they announced today in the news, isn't it? Only groups of 6, small groups of 6. So again, as we sort of say, you think you're getting back to some kind of normality, it sort of changes again. So it's going to be a while before things are going to settle down long term, really, that we know what we're doing. I think for us, it's like, I think we've got some ideas, Joe, haven't we, on how I can mix it up a bit, see what, it's having actually asking the network themselves what they want. And I know a lot of people are desperate to get out and meet network, and particularly now if they've got kids that have gone back to school, they just want to talk to more adults, or not the cat or the dog. And it's, and I guess with that as well, to extend with working sort of changing, and like for instance, so my brother-in-law, he works in stocks and shares in London. He's just had a brand new office in Canary Wharf, and now he's been told that he can work home like kind of indefinitely, or he pop in now and again. So there's going to be all these buildings like through towns everywhere that are going to be empty or going to need to find a use for, and we're going to crave that interaction, aren't we, face to face once we can.
Mm. And I think as well, it depends on how your networking group runs, because obviously you have to take into consideration. So if you hire a cafe, for example, you have to go by what the cafe's rules are, but we run it in a soft play. So that means that our rules for soft play areas in COVID times are very different to a cafe's rules. So that obviously that kind of thing has a bearings on networking groups as well. But, I went for a walk yesterday with one of my networking friends. We were like, all our kids go back to school on Tuesday. Right, that's it. We're going to go for a walk together and just have a chat. And, it was just, I think I had verbal diarrhea, just like, because it was having that person to talk to that wasn't one of my children, and having somebody who knows exactly how you feel at that moment in time, because they've just spent 6 months locked up with their kids, but they're also trying to run a business as well. So, it was just lovely to do that. And I think if you are in a position where you do have networking people that you trust and that you've built that relationship with, that it's fine to go for a walk with them or go for a coffee with them. Just think about your maybe scaling down your network, instead of it being, oh, I go to a big networking group and there's like 30 people there once a month or whatever. Think about scaling it down to just picking a couple of individual people that you want to have a chat with and spend a bit of time with.
Yeah, like you said, those one-to-ones are really important, aren't they? That not just that, numbers thing. It's over time, isn't it? Moving the relationship along, getting to know certain people, and I say if it's one-to-one, catching up's good. I've got a few coffees booked up with people to catch up. We've had a nice comment here from Teresa. Hi, Teresa, for joining us. So Teresa's just said, balance is a good word. So yeah, Zoom and face-to-face is good. I know Teresa's been great during lockdown, because she's I've been pestering her a bit to embrace video and Zoom, and now she's on it all the time. And lots of, I think that's one of the good things, is that because we all own our own business, but there's that kind of need to sort of hide behind a pretense for some people, or the authenticity's come out, hasn't it? So when we had the guy at the BBC a couple of years ago, when his kids walked in and we all laughed, we're all that guy now, and that's kind of accepted. So I chatted to somebody the other day offline, and I was kind of like not knowing what to expect. And the first thing we did was talk about cats, and you're like, it's always about cats. It always seems to be cats. But it's exposed all that kind of pretense of oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. At the end of the day, we've all gone through this same way. We've all got, whether you've got kids or elderly relatives or whatever, it's kind of humanized us all, hasn't it? And
yeah, definitely. I think you're right, because you have to be authentic in networking, because you can't long term pretend to be something that you're not. You just can't. And I think you're right, having Zoom and having children around, and just our whole life has changed. And the way that even media is presented to us now, most of the time anybody who's being interviewed on TV now is doing it from their living room. They're not being shipped into the TV stations or anything anymore. And I think we're a lot more forgiving as a society now. We don't expect things to be perfect. We're quite happy to watch somebody on the news who suddenly cuts out because their internet connection is rubbish and all that sort of thing. I think we're a lot more forgiving, and we are embracing people's authentic selves a lot more than we used to.
Yeah, and I think with what you said earlier on as well about, say, the authenticity you said then, but the listening to people and actually understanding, there's a lot more empathy that's gone on, because I guess we've all been in the same boat. And one of the big things is asking for help, isn't it? As well as helping people, it's actually saying to people, oh, I don't know how this. Does anybody know that? And that's one of the great things about networking, is having those people that. So I've been nearly self-employed for 10 years next year. But it's never felt like it's just me on my own. It's all because of the networking. I can't imagine not having that. it's always felt like almost like a big company where we all run lots of little businesses under the same sort of, under Somerset or whatever as a kind of entity. Maybe that sounds a bit crazy, but
no, I know what you mean, because it is like you have got like a team behind you, and you all, when you have got that really good networking support group, they are gonna hold your hand when you need it. They are going to cheer for you when something great happens. They are going to be the ones that phone you up and go, oh, last week you said this, is it okay now, or do you still need some help? So I think I just think that it's just nice having that. And I think that feeling that you get that you're not on your own is really important.
And I think it's when you can be really vulnerable and, ask for help that you often form the strongest connections, isn't it? Because that showing your vulnerability to somebody really opens that up for you to be able to build a relationship with them. And people like helping people, don't they? It's actually can feel quite flattering or empowering to be asked your advice or to be asked to help somebody, or for somebody to value your opinion about something.
Yeah, definitely. I think that that feeling of happiness that you get when you have that transaction of giving somebody a bit of advice and then it helping them and then being like, thank you, that was amazing. And, you get that little oh yeah, and you want to feel like that again, so you want to keep doing it again so that you have that same feeling.
That's an important point, because one of my frustrations with networking is that similar to the lady with the face paints, really, not her, but in the mindset of networking. So I don't know why more estate agents don't go networking. Now I know they network within other estate agents and they play golf and this, that, the other, but most people live in a house or know other people that live in houses. So there's a perfect opportunity there. Maybe, I guess, when you have your plan of going networking, I guess that's one of the things that's in your book, is about having a plan about what you're going for. Your plan might be, say, for that sector, might be just to educate people and position yourself as the local expert. And like you said, as a byproduct of talking about financial markets, housing markets, stamp duty, etc., you then become the person that naturally people point you towards, as opposed to just going on Google and looking at all the others that are there. So I was just interested with there's a lot more, isn't there, than just, like I said, the helping thing is being advice and expertise, and it was almost like customer service, isn't it? And people getting to know the team.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we want to get forward is and that kind of Zoom and chats like this is allowed is the authenticity, as you said, Joanne. Is getting across the people behind the business. It's not the kind of sometimes facade of a website that says what they think they should say because they're in that market. And actually, again, humanizing people, and that this is the person to speak to.
I think as well, 10 years ago, people would put things like we, ours, all this kind of making it sound like they were part of a massive team on their website, and actually it was just them. And you're like, no, it's just you. There's so many people that I network with now have changed their businesses to just kind of be their names. And my friend is a virtual assistant, so hers is Trisha Reed's virtual assistant, because people buy into people. So it's no good saying you're this massive corporate business of virtual assistants when it's just you on your own. And actually people will buy into you more and respect you more and build more trust with you when they realize that it's just you and it's not this huge thing that you've made it look like on the website. So I think we are better now at being we're a one-man person, and that's fine.
That's really. I've been for the whole I versus we. The first, I went from I to we to thee to, I don't know, the first few years. It's a headache, and it's. I mean, I was chatting to a prospective new client the other day, and he said, I want someone that's local, that I can get to know, that I know they're not going to be I'm not going to be paying all their fees to do at their smart office. I want somebody, and I guess a lot of people starting out is. I was chatting to somebody else the other day that visited the office and was talking about that kind of, what do you call it? Imposter syndrome, isn't it? About that self-belief if you're on your own business, to say, actually, stuff it. I'm going to call my business my name, because that's who I am, because you get me and you get my experience. And sometimes there's that sort of self-confidence, isn't there, issue with that? I mean, but both of you, as bloggers that are both writers that are very honest in how you say things, that's a bit different, isn't it?
No, I run under my name, but I guess it depends on what you write about as well. Do you know what I mean? You, for example, you obviously started as a single mummy, writing about your life as a mum, and so then so it makes sense in your journey along the way. But I always just started writing about running a business from home, so I don't know, it just, for me, I just felt more natural to use my own name than to be anything other than myself.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's definitely more and more people are recognizing the value in that sort of one person business and being able to connect with that one person, and that, you know, just because you're small doesn't mean you can't do everything a big corporation would be able to do. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I was gonna buy paulsmith.co.uk, but apparently some bloke in London has already got it. So I can't have. I mean, that was the issue with myself. It was obviously the issues around SEO would be a bit of a nightmare. But Pamela, who's watching, she's just said she changed her company name for exactly those reasons. That, you know, it's more about, say Pamela's a travel consultant, helps people, sorts all your issues out if you want to travel. So she's obviously had a busy year. But you know, you very much get the personal service. You get somebody that knows what they're talking about, that you can rely on, that you can call them and they'll answer. They don't go through to a call centre.
Yeah, and that they really care. Like Pamela's a great example, because you talk to her about travel and like her passion for it and her like dedication just shines through. And you know that if you gave her a holiday to plan, like gave her your honeymoon, she would go all out and put in like all the hours to make it your best honeymoon, because she cares on a personal level, which I think is like a lot of people really like that sort of level of service, don't they?
I think as well, when you build that level of like trust and authenticity with other people, that you and within your networking group, then you don't shy away from saying, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm sure I can find someone who does. Whereas I think lots of people tend to think that they have to know the answer to everything, and they have to be able to straight away go, oh yeah, you need to speak to so and so, and actually you don't. But if you being able to actually say, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out for you, just makes you more of that like networking go-to person that somebody would want to go to.
I used to do a lot of that when I used to be a maths tutor and was teaching A-level maths, and people would ask me questions and I'd be like, it's a very good question. Why don't you see if you can find out the answer to that and let me know next week?
I think that's what my eldest did in her GCSEs, to be honest. I think she played off that for about 3 years, I think. I wanted to go back to the book. Thank you for the mention. I noticed we were in the back of the recommended networking groups. That was the first thing I looked at when I saw it. We better be in there, and we were in there. So good to see it. So in terms of, this is your second book. What prompted you, Joanne, to write the book, and at the time, what?
Oh, I think publishing it during lockdown might have been a bit crazy, but actually, because everything stopped, all of those excuses that I'd had for like weeks and months and years that were stopping me from getting it actually finished were gone. And I was like, oh no, I need something to do to feel like I've actually achieved something, because nobody wants to work with me right now, because nobody else knows what they're doing either. And obviously all the networking stuff just kind of finished, and we still kept touch online and stuff, but you know, everything that I'd had going on just suddenly disappeared. So I was like, I really need to feel like I've come out of lockdown and I can go, I've done something other than watch lots of TV.
So you are that annoying person who's written a book or learned a new language or let's play the trumpet.
But I started writing it, like I did start writing it a really long time ago, but I started writing it because I saw things that kept happening in networking groups. And then also I kept getting asked the same questions all the time. And, you know, I wrote a couple of blog posts, and then I was like, just directing them to my blog. And then I thought, wouldn't it be better if I could direct them to a book that I could actually earn some more money out of? So that's one of the reasons I wanted to write about it. But I'm passionate about like being with other people and networking and stuff, whereas lots of small businesses just don't see the value in it yet, because they just don't understand the whole people, all the things that we've been talking about. There'll be people that are just listening to us going, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And that's what I wanted to just share, that side of networking with other people. It's not the quick sale. It's not about, selling 1,000 products from one networking event. It's about meeting other people and being around other people and building that support network around you.
Yeah, I really like, and one of the things that I think I mentioned, we used to put up the benefits of network, and also we used to have some leaflets that people could pick up and take away, and intentionally left something off the back. And the thing that we left off was of actually, getting work out of it, because just pushing this so much. I mean, when I first started going networking, the reason I went, I think I got it quite early on, was because I've never been in business. I had no idea what I was doing, and it was terrifying. So actually going along, so the first thing I did wasn't about, I just started out. I was still working a part-time job to bring the money in, but for me it was about knowing how to do things, asking questions about accounts. And somebody said, have you ever heard of MailChimp? What's that? Have you heard of Eventbrite? No. And suddenly I had all these new websites and gadgets and things that helped me like organize things. And I guess over time it's knowing people that you can, you have that book of people that you can contact, isn't it? That you can, it can lead places. And I think it's frustrating when people just expect these instant results, particularly if it's, as I touched on earlier on, if it's a large company that have got a local office and they don't see the value in their local person spending time making those connections, it's really sad, because it makes such a difference knowing the person within the firm, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And knowing people from other businesses is never going to be detrimental to you whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's never going to be any cons to having lots of people in business that you can turn to ask any question. That's never going to be a con at all. And I think you're right. Like, there's just so many people that come into networking and they're like, networking doesn't work for me. And you're like, why doesn't it work for you? And they're like, I've been to a few events and it never sold anything, or nobody wanted my service. And, and you're like, that, you just didn't get it. You just didn't get what the whole thing was about. Like, I do say that you should set some sort of like networking goals, but it's more for your own personal benefit. So it's okay if your networking goal is to go and meet a new friend today. Like, that's fine. That can be your goal. It doesn't have to be, leave with £10 million worth of sales. It literally can be meet somebody like me, or, you might want to do, like, if you're looking for a VA, for example, to take off some of your other stuff, that can just be like your goal. It doesn't have to be this huge thing. It can just be something really tiny.
I think that's a really good point about setting goals. I think that's useful, like in loads of aspects of business, obviously, but with networking, because as well, then you can measure your success, can't you? If you've set yourself a goal of, I'm going to talk to 3 new people, I'm going to ask for help with this problem, and and then you do those things, then at the end of the session, you can be like, yeah, that's great. I set out, I set out my goals, I achieved them, and then you can feel that sense of like it having been a success and been worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, because I'm a blogger, I'm always looking for ways that I can collaborate with other businesses, because that's the kind of thing that I do. I want to be able to work with other businesses to offer something else to somebody else. So sometimes for the team building socials that we do, I'd be always looking for other businesses that do things like Crazy Golf, or I don't know, I can't think of anything now, but just something that I can then say to the networking group, oh my God, we can go and do this escape room, because I've met the guy the other night and he's going to do a deal with us and we're going to collaborate together and do this thing. And that's what I'm looking for when I go, is people that I can collaborate with. And I might not want to collaborate with them straight away, but they're always sort of there when I think about, oh, well, I could do that next year when we do, I don't know, Halloween or something. That's my goal, is to be looking for collaborations. And I think sometimes, because that's my sort of focus, I'm looking to collaborate with other people, then I start noticing how other people can start collaborating with each other. So then you can go be like, oh my God, you guys should do this together, and then putting other people together. So then they get a goal out of it that they didn't even intend to have in the first place.
Yeah, is that, hey, just say where it can go, isn't it? The relationship and having different, say, like you say, goals or things that you want to get from it. And collaboration's a massive thing. I mean, I think of, you know, now that we like locally, we've got good relationships with the local chambers and, you know, the local council. And, you know, it now feels like it's a bit of, you know, scratching each other's backs, isn't it? And sometimes you've got to give a lot of your time and advice, and then it comes back to you. And I think it's such a shame when people don't see it's a long-term thing. And like you said, the other things that you can get from it. I just wanted to bring up this from Kit. So Kit goes to lots of networking events. She said, I think we've got to know each other as real people over the last few months. Completely agree with Paul. Thank you. That people buy from people. Hopefully, what she said, hopefully the relationship we have built ourselves, rather than simply representatives of our own business, are really strong long-term ones. And that's it, isn't it? It's the long-term relationship. And I just would like more businesses, more bigger businesses, they've got multiple offices, to see the value in having local people come along, like estate agents or car dealerships, for instance. How many people live in a house or have a car? Lots. Why are they not networking? Because it's often that expertise, and they say there's opportunities. We spoke to one of the local garages a while back, and they were quite keen to use their showroom as a networking spot, because it brings more people to their, you know, to look at their cars.
Do you know, there's actually a networking group in Poole that runs out of a car showroom.
Yeah, exactly that. And you get them there, and like I say, it's just get them familiar with your environment, and it's the, you know, oh, while you're here, would you like to look at the new Mercedes C-Class or whatever, you know?
Want to just buy this brand new car? Yeah.
Yeah, you can like pretend, you can stand outside, pretend it's your car.
Be a bit of a twist to what's in the box, wouldn't it? If we offered a brand new Mercedes to the best question of the evening.
Yeah. So, is there any questions that you've got for each other?
Oh, I don't know.
Threw that in there. We're nearly coming to the end.
Well, I think we've kind of asked a lot of the stuff that I was interested in talking about. Yeah, I guess like perhaps to kind of like finish up, whether you've got like a one top tip that would be like, you know, if nobody's ever been networking before, but they really want to give it a go, they're nervous, they don't know which group to pick, like what would be your pearls of wisdom for them?
Good question.
Oh, that is a good question. There's loads. So I would say, you know, ask other people where they go, or if you can, arrange to go with a friend so that you feel a little bit less nervous, because you already have that, I know, certainly. If you don't know anybody who already goes, and maybe you're really new in business and you don't actually know anybody, there's no reason you shouldn't be contacting the host and just saying to them, I'm really, you know, I'm a bit nervous, could you meet me, or, you know, can you make sure, you know, I know what you look like? And then the host will obviously take over for you, and it makes that transition much easier. But yeah, I would say, like, go with an open mind as well. Try lots of different places out, and then once you decide which ones you like, then be consistent and make sure you turn up, because that's obviously important, turning up all the time. But yeah, I would say that would be my kind of top two things: is don't be afraid to try things out, see if you can arrange to meet somebody or contact the host beforehand, and go with an open mind, you know, because you never know what you're going to like. I'm sure if I said to my networking group 2 years ago, we're going to start abseiling next month, they would have thought I was nuts. But the amount of people that come to abseiling and are just all sat there just having chats about business, it's just crazy.
That's really good advice. Joe, we've got abseiling to the list.
Okay. Abseiling, face painting on my
as a giraffe.
Yeah, and Joe, thank you, Joanne. That's brilliant. Really, some really good points there. And to sort of, Joe, to sum up for you, what do you think is the main take home?
I think I guess just to try and, yeah, I mean, like Joanne said, keep an open mind, not just about the groups, but about individual people, to not sort of dismiss somebody immediately because you think there's nothing that they can offer me, or there's, I can't get anything from them. But just to remember the value in not just the people in that room, but like every individual person has networks of their own, and you just never know, where a relationship might lead.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily the relationship you have with person X. It's the relationship they have with person A, masses of miles away. They're the connections that sometimes that you need, but you just don't know until you actually build a relationship with the person.
Exactly.
No, and I think on the back of that, most of the work I've got, the referral, has been, say, if you build the relationship with the people, they become your advocates, don't they? And they're actively going out having those conversations that you don't know about. So I've had somebody recently, so Keith Heffernan from the FSB, introduced me to one of the members that's joined him, who's looking to somebody in marketing now. So Keith's effectively going out, having built years of knowing what I do and trusting me and know that I can do a good job. So he's out there, sort of, out there actively, not working for me, obviously, but he's got me in the back of his mind if those conversations that come up. And I guess it's having, if you've got 20 people that are going around that know exactly what you do and recommend you, then that, that's worth its weight in gold.
It's invaluable, isn't it?
Yeah, promoting your business. So I was just going to sort of finish up on, I guess you've covered lots of them there, being authentic, everybody's got value, take time to find the right networking groups. And there'll be people out there that are watching now or are going to watch it another time that are thinking now's the time to start my own business. And I guess we all recommend that networking is great because it helps in so many ways, whether it's giving you tips and advice, making new friends, confidence, learning new things, new skills. It's so invaluable to businesses, and word of mouth is so important that once people know who you are and what you do, that things are going to come back on itself, and your business is going to grow as a result. Just going to finish up now. So thank you so much for joining us today, Joanne. So we've really enjoyed it, Joe. I'm just going back to your wonderful book. I've really enjoyed it. So I've looked through lots of it, and it's really good because it's in different sections. I've gone back and looked at different bits and different chapters. And I was going to get you to choose a question, and I've got a couple more questions here, but we haven't got time for them, so maybe I'll pop them in the Facebook comments. But I'm going to sort of choose myself, because I think from one of the people watching, I think we have to give it to Susie Thomas.
I was going to say the same thing because she's like literally she's on it.
Well, Susie has been so instrumental in Taunton in setting up the Taunton Independent Quarter. So lots of the independent businesses, she's really galvanised them, particularly during lockdown and the pressures we've had. So I think Susie, the book will be coming to you if that's all right. I'm sure it is. So yeah, she's been great during lockdown and in Taunton. So thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you as well, Joe.
And you, thanks for having me. Thanks for coming, Joe.
Thank you for having me and listening to me rambling on.
Brilliant. And I guess the good thing about networking is, we've chatted now, but we can continue online and catch up. We can share each other's content. We can help promote each other's groups. Maybe, Joanne, we'll do a live feed from our group when we're up and running to yours. That'd be pretty cool.
Sounds like a plan.
We can mix it up a little bit. So.
Or Jo can come and visit us because she likes getting stuck in those.
Oh yeah.
I love
it going to soft play.
Yeah, great. Well, Susie's just said a little Susie, yay, thank you. So she's over the moon. So that's Susie there from Rocket and Bird. And you're sure we'll see Susie and Jeanette back on the networking scene. They're a good laugh, always up for a good laugh, good fun. So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. And see you both soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, take care. Bye now. Bye.
Obligatory wave. Goodbye.